And welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News City, 23rd April 2026. Equivalent Islamic calendar, 26th day of Zulqa'dah, 1447 after Hijrah. I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. In the headlines, President Tinubu approves 17 billion naira grassroots development for nationwide. Federation Account Allocation Committee shares 2 trillion naira among 3 tiers of government. Troops of Operation Hadinkai kill over 30 terrorists and destroy boats in Northeast. On the international scene, President Trump says U.S.-Iran ceasefire talks could be held in next 3 days. And a sports update, Manchester City moved up on Premier League table following 1-0 win at Burnley. These and more news will be coming to you in the bulletin. To stand by. Thank you for joining, and now the news and details. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved 17 billion naira committee-based National Social Action Fund designed at accelerating grassroots development across Nigeria's 8,804 wards in a move to deepen local participation in service delivery and improving socio-economic outcomes. Assistant Director of Information, Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Adi Bago, who disclosed this in a statement in Abuja, said the initiative will be implemented through a newly established task force designed to drive community-led intervention nationwide. The statement also explained that each ward will work with a verified community-based organization to identify and execute priority projects tailored to local needs. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Muhammad Patti, said the program represents a shift toward decentralized development, adding that the scope of interventions reflects urgent grassroots needs across sectors. Federation Account Allocation Committee (FAC) has shared a total of 2.04 trillion naira as revenue for March 2026, reflecting a 15 billion naira increase from the 1.89 trillion naira distributed from February. The Director of Press and Public Relations Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Bao Mokwa, made this known in a statement in Abuja. He also added that 2.04 trillion naira revenue comprised 1.32 trillion naira from statutory revenue, 515.39 billion naira from value-added tax, and 200 billion naira as augmentation. The statement explained that the federal government got over 789 billion naira, while state received 657.6 billion naira, and local government councils got 468.83 billion naira. Muka further explained that oil producing states received 120.76 billion naira as derivation, accounting for roughly 5.9% of the total. Non-academic staff union of education, NASU, and association institutions have rejected federal government's 30% increase in its members' consolidated academic allowance. The union described the increment as inadequate and threatened to embark on a nationwide strike if the government will not offer its 40% increment before May 1st, 2026. NASU General Secretary Peter Adeyemi made this known while speaking with journalists at the regular meeting of universities and inter-university center-spread group council. The meeting held at the Adeyemi Makandula Theatre Hall, Lagos State University. He stated that the union would only accept 40% increment which the government implemented for the academic staff union of universities as from January 1st. Earlier, the Deputy President of NASU, Buhari Suleiman, urged the federal government to address challenges in Nigeria's education system, as well as insecurity and economic hardship in the country. Federal government is set to recruit and train 1,000 youths from each state and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) into the livestock value chain as part of effort to boost food security, create jobs, and drive economic growth across Nigeria. Minister of Livestock Development Edi Maiha disclosed this in Kaduna during a panel session at the 2026 Niger Public Relations and IPR Week, describing the initiative as a deliberate strategy to unlock the country's underutilized livestock potential. According to him, Kaduna State is fast emerging as a key hub for livestock development, particularly in dairy production, aligning with ongoing federal effort to operation to reposition the sector. On his part, the president of the Africa Public Relations Association, Arik Karani, stressed the critical role of communication in reshaping public perception of agriculture across the continent, but argued that early exposure has removed the stigma around farming and positions it as a viable and respectable career path. Earlier, Vice Chairman of the Council of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Emmanuel Ndaura, noted that with the right tools, young people can leverage smartphones and digital platforms to access markets and monitor production. So on the news, federal government has reiterated its commitment to implement policy reforms aimed at insulating workers from economic ruin, providing compensation for workplace injuries, and ensuring a dignified life after retirement. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave the assurance at the opening of a two-day 2026 West Africa seminar held in Abuja, the nation's capital, with the theme improving inclusiveness and accessibility of social security services through effective communication in West Africa. Tinubu hinted that since assuming office in 2023, his administration has driven its renewed health agenda with a clear objective to restore opportunity, protect livelihoods, and rebuild confidence in our economy. The president, who was represented by the Minister of Budget and National Planning, stressed that although those figures are impressive, the true success of the pension reforms cannot be measured merely in trillions of naira. Tinubu also noted that the federal government was deliberate in strengthening institutions that form the pillars of Nigeria's evolving social security architecture. The Wike-led faction of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has fixed its presidential nomination and expression of interest from at 51 million naira and governorship from at 21 million naira ahead of 2027 general elections. The PDP National Organizing Secretary of the faction, Omar Bature, disclosed this in a timetable to journalists. According to the schedule, the faction will submit its register to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on 21st April 2026 and notify the Commission of its primaries on April 22nd, 2026. The timetable shows that the expression of interest for all positions costs 1 million naira, while nomination fees vary across offices. Aspirants for state houses of assembly are to pay 2 million naira, House of Representatives 3 million naira, Senate 5 million naira, governorship 20 million naira, and presidential aspirant as 15 million naira. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come in the news. Troops of Operation Hatton-Kai kill over 30 terrorists and destroy boats in Northeast. On the international scene, President Trump says U.S.-Iran ceasefire talks could be held in the next 3 days. On sports updates, Manchester City moved top and Premier League table following 1-0 win at Burnley. These are more news to be coming to you after this short break. Do stand by. Thank you for coming back from that short break, and now the news continues. Troops of Operation Hatton-Kai has killed over 30 terrorists and destroyed many boats in an operation at the Lake Chad waterways around the Kaniram Island axis in Borno State. The Media Information Officer Northeast Joint Task Force Operation Hatton-Kai, Lieutenant Colonel Sani Uba, in a statement said the feat was achieved during an offensive operation. He also added that the air component of Operation Hatton-Kai established a persistent overhead presence and confirmed the concentration of over 30 terrorist boats and association terrorist elements coordinating movement and resupply on Wednesdays in this location. Oba also emphasized that following deliberate confirmation in line with rules of engagement, OPHK executed well-coordinated precision strikes that destroyed several boats and disrupted the terrorist logistic hub. The media information officer added that in a related engagement also low in the Sambisa forest axis, additional precision-guided strikes were concluded following target validity acquisition with partners. Some stakeholders from government institutions, traditional councils, civil society organizations, CSOs, and the media converged in Kaduna to develop strategies for addressing gender-based violence in Northwest. The dialogue organized by the Center for Information Technology and Development brought together participants to deliberate on practical solutions to curb the menace, which organizers said continues to affect communities despite existing laws. Representatives of the organization, Kamal Garba Hassan, while speaking at the male feminist states level dialogue on gender-based violence, noted that the initiative was designed to move beyond rhetoric and focus on actionable strategies to reduce cases of abuse. He also explained that the project was being implemented across Nigeria on a regional basis, with the current phase focusing on the Northwest. A participant, Sarah Shekari, advocated for stronger institutions, improved policy enforcement, and sustained collaboration among stakeholders to address rising cases of gender-based violence in Nigeria. The first state government has expressed worry over the deteriorating condition of public schools in Gusau local government area, describing the situation as unacceptable. Governor Dauda Lawal disclosed this while speaking with newsmen after inspecting several schools alongside the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Abdul Malik Kajam, and other government officials. He explained that many of the schools visited need urgent rehabilitation, with some having suffered years of neglect, warning that conditions in rural areas could be even worse than those observed in the state capital. The governor emphasized that education remains the backbone of societal development and said no meaningful progress can be achieved without a strong educational system. Also, the coordinator of the Adult St. Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment, Agile in Zamfara State, Saada Tuguso, advocated for stronger partnership among stakeholders to address challenges in the education sector. She also noted that the decline in education has persisted for years and requires collective action from government, communities, and other stakeholders. In another development, the state government has sponsored a mass wedding for 100 couples drawn from vulnerable groups across the state's 14 local government areas. The state governor, Dauda Lawal, stated that the initiative reflected his administration's commitment to supporting vulnerable citizens and improving their welfare. Lawal, who was represented by the Deputy Governor Mani Mummuni, reaffirmed his commitment to uplifting the least privileged and ensuring their well-being through meaningful interventions. Mummuni, who also stood in for the grooms, announced a dowry payment of 200,000 naira for each bride on behalf of the state government. Also, the Emir of Kauranamoda represented the bride's family, giving them out in marriage to their husbands during the ceremony. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to deepening economic relations with the United Kingdom, particularly in the aviation sector and other mutually beneficial areas. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave the assurance when he met with a delegation from British Airways led by British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard, and the commercial officer of British Airways in Abuja. Tinubu, while highlighting the long-standing and productive partnership between both countries, noted that Nigeria places great value on its strategic relationship. The Nigerian leader also reflected on his recent historic visit to the United Kingdom and the wonderful reception he received from the royal family. In his remarks, Kamlesi, the Airways' long-standing relationship with Nigeria, saying the Airways have served generations of Nigerians for the past 90 years, helping in trade, investment, and opportunities. on both sides. He said Nigeria was not just a destination for the airways, but a long-standing valued customer. Moving to the foreign scene, a second round of U.S.-Iran talks is expected to take place within the next 3 days. The New York Post disclosed this, citing unnamed Pakistani sources and U.S. President Donald Trump. It also added that President Donald Trump reportedly told the Post by text message when asked about sources in Pakistan, which mediated the first round of talks, saying that a second round was expected in Islamabad within the next 36 to 72 hours. Donald Trump had on Tuesday extended 2-week truce in the war just as it was about to expire. Meanwhile, a digital news outlet in Pakistan, News Post, reported the 3-day time frame for more texts without a source or further details. Moving to the sporting scene, Manchester City has moved top of the Premier League table following a 1-0 victory at Burnley. Coach Pep Guardiola's men came into the game 3 points behind Arsenal after they beat the Gunners 2-1 last weekend and took the lead in the 6th minute through Erling Haaland. Haaland ran through after a pass from Jem Doku and dubbed the ball over the goalkeeper. However, Manchester City failed to build on the strong start and ended up battling for the 3 points. They are now ahead of Arsenal on goals scored as both teams have 70 points and a goal difference plus 37. Finally, underneath the top stories again. President Tinubu approves 17 billion naira grassroots development fund nationwide. Federation Account Allocation Committee shares 2 trillion naira among 3 tiers of government. Troops of Operation Hadinkai kill over 30 terrorists and destroy boats in Northeast. On the international scene, President Trump says U.S.-Iran ceasefire talks could be held in next 3 days. And a sports update, Manchester City moved top on Premier League table following 1-0 win at Burnley. On behalf of the production crew led by Ilya Adamu Auta, I am Hamida Muhammad Idris, thanking you for investing your time and staying with the news.